Welcome to the next episode of BE Constructive Smart. Today we talk all things roof plumbing.
Excellent, thanks Harry. Welcome back. Today we're talking about roofs. Look, very simple, what is a roof? Why is roof plumbing so important? It's really obvious there, just to protect us from the elements, from the sun, the rain, the weather. Look, some instances the snow, but today I thought I'd dive a little bit into the technical reason why roof plumbing is so important. So I'll dig out the simple explanation that comes out of the National Construction Code. And here in section P 2.2.2 under weatherproofing. So a roof and an external wall must prevent the penetration of water that could cause unhealthy or dangerous conditions or loss of amenity for occupants and undue dampness or deterioration of building elements. So that's sort of the real importance of, from a construction code point of view, of why we need to get roof plumbing right.
So Troy, who nominates the type of roof used?
Typically the architect or the building designer will nominate the type of roof. There's a few factors that come into play in terms of how we choose what type of roof that is utilised. Largely it will come along from an aesthetic desire, the architectural appearance of the building. These sometimes are dictated and sort of driven by local planning requirements or local government building parameters that they might have for different areas.
And how is the roof installed?
Yeah, look, installation is really important. There's a variety of standards available to us to get the different forms of roof installation. You know, we've got various different types of sheet cladding, which are dealt with by the Australian standards. We've also got roof tiling, and all dealt with very extensively within Australian standard suites, which detail all the important requirements for how each style of roof needs to be constructed. Here at BE Projects, we've got our BE Index. Now within our BE Index, we've developed a roof cladding checklist. Now within this checklist, I mean, there's just so many things that need to be considered when constructing the roof. Today I'm not going to go through them all because it can get quite complicated, but look, some of the things that we look at and think about from a construction point of view are, you know, things like stormwater, temporary stormwater disposal. Once we get the roof on, we've now concentrated where rainfall is going to occur. So that can cause us issues in other areas of the building site. So we want to make sure that we've thought about where temporary water disposal is going to go. Structural inspection. Is the structure ready to take this new sheet membrane that we're about to put on the roof? You know, we're now introducing significant loads to the structure from a wind loading point of view. Is the structure ready? So we make sure that part of our QA is that we have a structural inspection, whether that's done by us or by the project engineer. The other really key factor is obviously most roofs are at height, you know, so safety is a really important parameter. So we do some really rigorous checks going through safety and specific items of how people are going to access the roofs. How do they access it safely? How do we get the roof sheets on in a safe manner? Not only do we think about safety in terms of access on the roof, but who's allowed to access the roof? The roof is not meant to be traversed by everybody, so we want to restrict and control the flow of people that know how to walk and behave on a roof structure as to not damage the roof plumbing.
What about other trades or services that penetrate the roof?
Look, I'm glad you asked that one, Harry. Look, dealing with other trades, and like I just sort of alluded to before, controlling who gets on top of the roof is really important. Uncontrolled people access to the roof, we can have damage occur to it without anyone knowing until there's a leak. So ultimately, you know, at BE Projects we've developed a policy, and part of our QA checklist is that the only person who can penetrate the roof or put a penetration through is the roof plumber or their company. What that does is it means we've got a one-stop sort of responsibility of who understands how the roof needs to behave, how it performs, how the penetrations are made. Now I've got a couple of photos here of a job we've recently got under construction. I just want to show you, in terms of roof, there's a few roof penetrations throughout the job. On top of the roof penetration, so when I say on top, I'm saying above it up to the ridge line. We've developed a policy that basically we overflash this. It's just too challenging to try and deal with this little area down at the bottom here and how we make sure that water doesn't get through. So this overflashing tucks right up underneath. There you can see how we would detail tucking up underneath the flashing. This roof's got a very low pitch, so we've gone with a little bit of extra insurance of silicon. Silicon's only ever extra. It's not how you waterproof a roof, it's how you detail it. Underneath that flashing, that will be turned up so that water cannot be driven by wind and get through. Got a couple of other photos of things that we look at. I mean, like I've said, it's such a complex area. Here you can see we're laying the anticon. What you've got here is the foil backing of the anticon is there to stop that condensation that occurs on the roof from then dripping and egressing out into the gutter system. So, look, there's just absolutely so many factors that need to be considered when dealing with roof plumbing. Our team we constantly talk about this and we look at improving and working out different ways of doing it. And this, as part of our BE index, is our roof cladding checklist, and that just continually evolves as we learn, as we deal with the best practice of how to deal with roof plumbing.